Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students, welcome to our online learning session 2. I hope you listened to our session 1 video carefully and you took notes and everything you studied. Barakallah fikum. So now inshallah we'll go into session 2. We know that in session 1 we saw about biodiversity, then we saw about how animals are, living organisms are classified, and we saw levels of organization, levels of biodiversity, and patterns of biodiversity, global scenario, and Indian scene. Hope you studied. Alhamdulillah, barakallah fikum. Now, inshallah, we will go into session 2. I hope you have taken your notebook and your textbook. Barakallah fikum. So, the first topic in this session is going to be classifying and naming organisms. Yes, students, we know that there are a lot of organisms on Earth. So, to identify them, we have to name them. So, there are millions of organisms, so we cannot randomly name them like how we name humans, okay, with particular names. They have to have a specific names. So, the scientists have developed some scientific names. With that, they name these organisms based on their classification. So when it comes to classification of organisms, they are estimated that there are 10 to 15 million species on Earth, and approximately 2 million have been identified and named. That is, from this, approximately 2 million have been identified and named. Grouping of organism according to similarities and differences is termed classification. That is, you group the organisms based on their similarities, that is how they look like each other, and differences, how they differ with each other, is what is termed as classification. So when an organism is classified into various categories, that is, if it's like classified into different categories, a hierarchy is maintained. That is, a set of hierarchy, that is from for example, the hierarchy is kingdom. Initially, what kingdom it belongs to, whether it is belongs to animal kingdom or plant kingdom, like that. Then they have subclasses, phylum, then class, order, family, genus, and species. Inshallah, we'll study about this. This is what is called as hierarchical order. For example, in the school, if you want to see hierarchical order, you can say like first is principal, then vice principal, then class teachers, then subject teachers, like this, then students. So this is the hierarchical order. So like that, organisms also classified based on this order. So here they say that classification shows evolutionary relationships. That is, dear students, one thing you have to remember, as Muslims, when we study science, we should not believe 100% whatever the scientists say, because scientists are just humans. They study few things and they come up with some conclusions. After they study, they do some research and come up with their conclusions. For example, if we go to 70 years back, scientists, all of them unanimously agreed that the earth, the universe does not have any beginning. This is what they believe. They believe that universe always existed, but we Muslims believe that Allah created the worlds. Okay, but now the current day scientists, they say that no, no, universe had a beginning. That is, there was a big bang, there was nothing, then big bang happened, all these things they say. So you can see that how science changes. After their research, they change their conclusions. But we Muslims, we know that Allah created the world, so that is what science is. So Allah's words are in the Quran, so it does not contradict with the world. So we should firmly believe in that, and we here we study whatever scientists say just for the sake of writing examination and getting marks. Fine. So you don't believe all this 100%, just study as like whatever there is in the book, so that inshallah we can study and get some marks. Fine. So even one more example I can give when it comes to science is that initially scientists told that the humans all came from ape, okay, no monkeys. Then later they told like no, monkeys and humans, they both had an ancestor, okay, from that ancestor they evolved into humans and monkeys. So you can see the changes. So science changes, but Quran and the truth does not change. So you just for the sake of examination study this, okay, don't believe all this in evolution and everything. Fine. Allah created Adam alayhi salam, so we were not evolved from monkeys. Fine. So here they say that classification shows evolutionary relationship, that is how they evolved according to them, and is also termed as systematics. So this is what this term is called as, this process is called systematics. So the science of classification, how you classify things, that is living organism, is called as taxonomy. Okay. Dear students, you have to remember that in science you will see a lot of new terms, new words. Don't be scared, don't be afraid that you will not be able to memorize all these things. You first see this, don't worry if you don't remember in the beginning. Slowly you study 2 3 times 4 times, then you will remember automatically, inshallah. Fine. So next, how humans are classified. So you can see that, as I told, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, species. So here the kingdom of humans are like Animalia, that is they come under animal kingdom. All animals that contain multicellular eukaryotic, that is eukaryotic means they have well developed nucleus. Fine. And heterotrophs, they eat from other plants, I mean other animals. They don't produce their own food. In phylum category, chordata, that is they have animals with notochord at some stage of life. Notochord is nothing but a flexible tissue found on the backbone, like when the baby is like 3 weeks in the fetus, they have that in that. But when the child reaches 4 years of age, the notochord completely disappears, almost completely disappears, and it is replaced with vertebra. That is, we have spinal cord, right? It will be replaced inside that with, okay. So notochord will be disappeared. So as adults or teenagers, we won't have this notochord. But the phylum definition is that at some stage of life, like how humans had when they are babies, they had this notochord, right? So uh, that is called, that is what definition for phylum, I mean chordata, sorry. And subphylum is that vertebra, those animals possessing a backbone. You know, some animals they don't have backbone, but those animals that have backbone, they come under this vertebra category. Then after the subcategory you have class, that is Mammalia. Humans come under Mammalia, that is you know that mammals, that is those animals with mammary glands to provide milk for their children. Fine. And this one, primates, those who have grasping hands, we can grasp things. And monkeys and apes, all these come under primates, that is we can hold and grasp things. But some animals, they cannot hold, they can just walk, okay. So they don't have like proper fingers to hold. So those animals that can grasp with their hands and feet, like they are called as primates. And family, they say hominidae, that is primitive humans. I told, right, there is some evolution thing they talk about. So they according to that, they call that they are hominidae. So species, they call like sapiens. This is what Homo sapiens is the scientific name for humans. It means that wise hominid, that is those who can think, okay. So there are three domains of classification. Uh, this is the next topic. There is three domains of classification. One is Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, and Eukarya. First one, Archaebacteria, is thermophilic, that are heat-loving bacteria that live in high temperature vents. High temperature vent is basically like a place, like dark places, like in rocks or some places. Fine. There are like gaps will be there, the cracks and inside it. So they are thermophilic. Thermophilic means they love heat. So those bacteria that love heat and live in high temperature cracks or vents are called as Archaebacteria, and eubacteria are single celled organisms without well developed nucleus. So they won't have well developed nucleus inside the cell, so they are single cell, they are called eubacteria. Eukarya are all other organisms with a well formed nucleus in their cells. So U means true, carrion means nucleus. So they have like well formed nucleus in their cells. So any other organisms that are well formed nucleus in their cells are called eukarya. Then we will see about the five kingdoms of life, which we saw earlier. There were only two kingdoms. One is plant kingdom, another one is animal kingdom. But the scientist later, one scientist called as Whitaker in 1969, he suggested that bacteria should be not be in the plant kingdom. It should be in a different category, and protozoa not in animal kingdom. So it should come in a different category. So in 1969, he suggested this five kingdom classification. So you can see these are the five kingdom names: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, Animalia. These are the five kingdoms of life. Uh, so, inshallah, we'll learn about this later. But you just remember these five names. It is very important in your exams. If you are asked about five kingdoms of life, you should be able to name this all five. Fine. So, we'll see briefly about the five kingdoms of life. Kingdom one is, that is Monera, that is single celled. Their features are single celled. There will be only single cell, no well formed nucleus. That is, they are prokaryotes. Prokaryotes are usually will not have well formed nucleus. So they are called as Monera. If they are single celled, no well formed nucleus, okay, like bacteria, then they are called as Monera. The second kingdom is Protozoa. Its name is also called as Proctista or Protista. They are single celled but with well formed nucleus. Fine. This is the feature of kingdom 2. Then the third kingdom is fungi or fungi. So they are like eukaryotes, that is the well formed nucleus and multicelled saprotrophs. They are multicellular. Saprotrophs are, as we told in the last class, that they live on another animal. I mean, like they take the nutrition from dead decaying matter, okay, dead body or dead decaying any organic matter. So they are called as saprotrophs, like mushroom. And then fourth kingdom is plantae, that is eukaryotes, that is multicellular, and autotrophs, that is they can produce their own food from like sunlight or any other means. Fine. Then fifth kingdom is animalia, like for example they have given earthworm and cat. They are eukaryotes, that is well formed nucleus. They are multicellular and heterotrophs, that is they depend on other animals for their food. Taxonomic groups, the kingdoms are further divided into divisions or phyla. I told, right, first is kingdom, it is then divided into phyla, then every phylum is divided into classes, then classes are divided into orders, orders divided into families, that is they include families, then the family is made up of many genus, yeah, and every genus includes species. So you know that one species cannot interbreed with another species, okay, they cannot reproduce offspring with another species. This you have to remember. And inshallah next class we will see how organisms are named. Hope you listened to the class. Please, if you don't understand, listen 2 3 times. Fine. And if you have any questions, please note it down. Inshallah, when we have the live classes, I think once in a week we'll have live session. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. Inshallah, please note it down. Whatever question you have, please note it down. Make sure you understand things. Okay, listen to my class carefully. Barakallah fikum. Once again, I'll do the summary of the second class. Like we saw classifying and naming of organisms, then we saw how humans are classified based on that taxonomy, and we saw three domains of classification, and then we saw five kingdoms, how initially it was only two kingdoms, animals and plants. Then we take a suggested five kingdom of classification. Then we saw the names of the five kingdoms. Then we saw the features, how they are classified as a five kingdoms. Then we saw the hierarchy order. Fine. Barakallah fikum. May Allah make things easy for us. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.